November 19 to November 21, I owned that house.
Okay. So now if we go on to Cityside Capital's website, there's a little over 5,000 units listed, and there's $1.2 billion worth of value there. All right, so you're going to need to unpack this for us, how we go from a triplex 3 years ago,
New Haven, Connecticut, yep,
to that. What does that growth look like?
So, we started to network with multifamily investors and multifamily, operators. So we're talking, 1 to 4 units is generally speaking, your audience probably knows this, but for a refresher, 1 to 4 units is your standard residential space. You qualify for traditional 30-year fixed financing, but 5 units and more is considered commercial. So I had a mentor named Chris Jackson, and he was like my coach about teaching me all the things about multifamily. And he had owned and operated 7 what they call syndications or kind of group investments. And he lived in New York, and they were all down in Atlanta. And I was fascinated by that. How can a New Yorker own all those units and multi-million-dollar complexes in a different state, right? So he actually got a 43 unit under contract while I was being mentored by him, and he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to join him on that project. So I got to see what does it mean to bring a property from letter of intent to getting under contract to getting it closed to raising the capital, doing the due diligence. And really kind of seeing the behind the curtain look on all that. And I just was blown away. I loved it. I was hooked. And, at the end of the project, he said, Tim, do you want to give raising capital a try? And I was like, Chris, I'm like, do not count on me for even $5. Like, I don't know what I can do. So I didn't have a website. I didn't have an email list. I didn't have any sexy marketing tools. I had a Gmail account. And I had my cell phone, and my brother and I, we just created a spreadsheet of people that we thought had money in our family, right? And friends and college roommates and whatever. And we just emailed them. We said, hey, look, Greg and I are doing this deal with, a guy that's helping us out. This is his track record, right? We borrowed his credibility and his track record, and this is what he's done. And, this is the first deal that we're doing with him. And we were able to raise $150,000. And to me, that was incredible. I mean, I never thought anybody would do that, alongside of us. But there was an appetite for it. People wanted to know more. People were telling me, hey, Tim, listen, I love you, buddy. Okay. But this is your first deal. So let me know about deals 2, 3, and 4, maybe, So that's exactly what happened, right? The first deal, kind of got off the ground. This is during COVID, by the way. That first deal closed in August or September of 2020. I mean, we're talking, the throes, that first summer of COVID, right? The market had gone down by 1/3. It was grinding back up. I mean, there was fear in the streets. We were locked down in our homes, cancel rent movements, no one's going back to the office. Everyone's, the world is ending. And I'm like, hey, I'm Tim and I'm doing a 43 unit project. Anybody want to join, So you got to think about that. And anyway, so we did that first one. And then the law of the first deal kicked in, Rob. And in our networking, we teamed up with another group. And they were doing 144 units down in Greenville, South Carolina. And, we did our due diligence, took a trip. We, did all the things, and it was checking all the boxes. And we're saying, wow, if we can do 43, why can't we do 144? And so that's what we did. And we raised over $500,000 for that deal, because everybody saw what I was doing. I was getting a little bit more vocal on social media. I was doing some Facebook Lives. I was sending out a newsletter by this point, not very often, but I was. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, dude, what are you doing? I thought you were a firefighter. I thought you were a nurse. Now you're doing like 144 units at a time. Like that's incredible. Tell me more, let's go get a drink. Let's go get a coffee. And just very organically, I started to tell people more about what we were doing, and people were, they were intrigued and they wanted to know more about it. So right as we did 144 units, we worked again on another project in Sarasota, Florida. And by this time, the Great Migration's happening. Right, people are leaving the Northeast. They're leaving Chicago. They're leaving San Francisco. Right, they're leaving all these places, and where are they ending up? They're ending up in the Sun Belt and in Florida. So we have this awesome opportunity, and again, we do some due diligence, and Rob, I don't know if you're from New York or New Jersey, but in New York, you're guilty till proven innocent, and that's how I operate, right? Like, I'm very skeptical. I have to ask a billion and a half questions. I got to check a lot of boxes, and I really need to feel comfortable before I jump in, especially when it has to do with money or real estate or relationships.
Sure.
So now we do a third deal, 148 units. It's a Class A property built in 2016, gorgeous, right? And that property, even still today, is absolutely killing it. But now we had proof of concept. We just raised, $2.5 million raises on top of the first raise, and it was a lot of work, though, right? There's a lot of property management calls. There's a lot of asset management calls. There's a lot of responsibility with investor relations. And I knew that I could build a business around that. So what Greg and I did was we went on a networking tear. And during that networking tear that we did, a lot of it via Zoom, we got introduced to a broker dealer that was really focused on building his business with commercial real estate syndications, right? So a broker dealer, if you think about Fidelity, Vanguard, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they deal with stocks, bonds, ETFs, life insurance, annuities, they do all that kind of stuff. But the broker dealer that I work for or work with, we just do multifamily, right? We do syndications for multifamily and self-storage and industrial triple net leases. So people who want to diversify into alternative assets. But to do that, we needed to get our securities licenses. So Greg and I went and got our Series 82 and our Series 63. And we joined forces with the broker dealer who had relationships with now it's up to 9, almost 10 operators, soon to be 10. And they're investing in all the markets that we want to invest in, right? You can live where you want, but you have to invest where the numbers make sense.